Okay, so today we're going to be talking about properties, and this should be on page 59 in your notebook. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and, because so I know what this is, I'm just going to label on my notebook. This is my properties of real numbers foldable. Okay. So basically, today is going to be talking about properties and knowing the difference between them. So the first property we're going to be talking about is the commutative property. And then we're going to be talking about the associative property. Alright, the identity property, inverse property, zero property, and distributive property. So we're going to be talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 properties today. You'll be able to identify. So commutative property. Commutative, think about commuting to and from school. So if you drive, how you get to school is the same way you're going to get home. Okay? So basically, instead of going to school, you're taking the same road back to home. Alright? So commutative property has to do with the order. Changing the order. Okay? So Liz is talking to Max is the same thing as Max is talking to Liz. It's just that Liz is listed here first in the sentence and Max is listed first in the sentence. So changing the order around. So in an expression, 6 plus 8 is the same thing as 8 plus 6. 9 times 3 is the same thing as saying 3 times 9. I'm going to get the same answer on both sides of the equal sign. A plus B is the same thing as saying B plus A. And C times D, that means times, when it's next to each other, is the same thing as D, C. So commutative is you're changing the order. Okay? Now I want to caution you that commutative property does not work for commutative property does not work for division or subtraction. So you cannot change the order when you are looking at subtraction or division. So it only works for addition or multiplication. Okay? So then the next one we're talking about is associative. Associative is if you think about associating with different people. Okay? So with associative, you're going to associate with different groups. You're going to move the parentheses. So with associative property, all you're doing is changing the parentheses around. You're changing the grouping of them, the grouping of the numbers or the grouping of the terms. You associate with different groups of friends. So example, you might have friends at school, but then you would have friends in your neighborhood. Okay? You're just changing your groups. So with examples, okay, 4 plus 8 plus 2 equals 4 is the same thing as saying 4 plus, and what's in the parentheses now is going to be the 8. The 8 plus the 2. You notice that now it's around the 8 and the 2 versus the 4 and the 8. Notice that the order stays the same. So with associative property, the order stays the same. I'm just changing the grouping symbols or the parentheses. 7 times 6 times 5 is the same thing as 7. Alright, and then now the grouping symbols are around 6 and 5. Okay? A plus B is around the A plus B over here. And now it's going to be around the B and the C on this side. Okay? I'm just changing the parentheses. And then E times F times G, E and F is in the parentheses, and now the F and the G are now on parentheses. Okay? So you're just moving the parentheses with associative property. Right? Identity property of addition and multiplication. So with addition, okay, so if I look at the examples, with addition, if I add 0 to 821, I'm going to get the same thing. Okay? If I multiply by 1 by 18, or 18 by 1, I'm going to get the same thing. If I do negative a plus 0, I get the same thing, negative a. If I multiply by 1 to get b, well, this is going to be b. b times 1 is b. So basically, identity property from addition or multiplication, if you add 0 when you are adding, or multiply by 1 for multiplication to keep their identity. That means the same thing. So it's like looking into the mirror. So if you look in the mirror, you see yourself. Okay? So add 0 if you're adding to get the same thing. Multiply by 1 if you're multiplying to get the same thing. Inverse property of addition and multiplication. Okay? So over here in my examples, so think about, what do I have to do to add? What do I have to add to 15 to get 0? Well, I'm going to add its opposite, which is negative 15. So if 15 plus its opposite is negative 15, I'm going to get 0. Okay? 4 times 1/4. If I do 4 over 1 times 1/4, I'm going to get 1. Okay? B plus negative b, they're opposites, so I'm going to get 0. And then I got to multiply times 3/8 to get 1. What do I multiply to get 1? I'm multiplying by 8 over 3. Okay? To get there. Okay. So what this means is I'm going to either add the opposite, okay, to get 0, or that's if I'm adding to get 0, or multiply the reciprocal to get 1. Alright? So if it's, so basically, if it's negative 5, I'm adding 5, I get 0 for addition, okay? So if I'm gonna multiply, okay, 1/2, I'm gonna multiply by the reciprocal 2 over 1 to get 1. So that's inverse. So basically you're doing the opposite for inverse. Okay. Zero property is simple. With zero property, you notice that 0 times 1/4 is going to be 0. 190 times 0 is 0. 0 times k is 0. And then 0 times negative g is 0. So this is easy. So any number multiplied by 0 is equal to 0. That's the easiest one to remember. Okay? Distributive property. Okay? Distributive property means to distribute. Means I'm going to distribute handouts to each student. So distribute means to hand out or pass out. Okay? Passing out. So I have my handouts. I'm going to pass out one handout per student. Okay, so that means the outside number gets distributed or multiplied to each number inside the parentheses. Okay, it's really, really important. All right, and we're going to talk a little bit more detail about distributive property. Okay, but here's what it really looks like to make sure you identify it. So the first example, the 6 is on the outside of the parentheses. So that means that 6 is being multiplied by the 30. Okay? And it's also being multiplied by the 5. Okay? And you notice that 6 is on the outside being multiplied by each number inside. Okay? Same with this one, the 8. Okay? The 8's being multiplied by each number inside. So 8 is multiplied by the 20, and the 8's multiplied by the 1. Okay? X is being multiplied by the Y, and also multiplied by the Z. Okay? And then 12A, okay, is outside. So the 12A is going to be multiplied by the 6, and the 12A is going to be multiplied by the 7. Okay? Now, this is what I want you to do for the examples. Okay? I want you to try the examples on your own. I want to see if you can identify what property it is. So if you look, okay, look at these, name that property. So go back to see if you can identify. Use your foldable to see if you know what property it is. Okay, and then we are going to check to see how you did in class. Alright, so go ahead. You're going to identify the 6 problems here as your properties. Use your foldable to do that.